That said, somebody else is wanting to try at drone delivery. Now, there's a company called Zipline, and they've basically just showed off a new delivery slingshot mechanism. Mark Rober actually released a video about this as well already. But basically, they want to be able to do what Amazon showed off 10 years ago and make deliveries with drones and do it faster and quicker than most people with cars. And obviously, it's way better for the environment to have electrical things flying around than to have big cars delivering your Uber Eats. So how they work is basically it'll slingshot the drone away, and then the drone can fly up to 10 miles in about 10 minutes with up to 8 pounds of cargo, and then it turns around and flies back and gets snagged by the tree. I'll try to remember to link Mark Rover's video so you can check that out, but it's essentially that, but they want to take that for doing package delivery. And I've even seen it just be like an actual drone that flies around, not necessarily being slingshotted around. But Zipline itself is doing a ton with autonomous electric deliveries. They've already flown over 40 million commercial miles, and that's through about 500 million flights, which is pretty incredible. Sorry, 500,000 flights. I don't know why I said billion, but we're out here. The plan basically is to conduct another 10,000 test flights this year, and then deliveries will begin shortly after. And because of this, they are Part 135 certification, which is their long distance on demand commercial drone flights, are now permitted in the US. So basically, they'll be able to get authorization from the FAA to do this and use its autonomous detection and avoidance technology to help get these drones from A to B and deliver you your Uber Eats faster than most cars would. Next up, actually talking about that a little further, is I'm curious how this will work. Obviously, they're going to stay under the 400-foot roll. And if you've seen the video of this, it's actually pretty crazy how it works. So basically, the drone will fly over at its 400 feet, drop the main body down, and the main body can actually steer itself. That will drop the package, and they can do it within if you got a picnic table you wanted to drop it on, easy drop it on your dinner plate on that picnic table. Super, super easily. And then lift that body back up and fly home, which is wild technology. And you could use this from anything from pharmacy. They were even talking if you were on a call with a doctor, your prescription could get to you by the time your call's over with a delivery like this if you live close to a metropolitan area. The big question for me is, as somebody who is a drone operator, is certified to fly drones, and does for real estate all the time, how will a system like this, if I'm flying near a downtown area, if they're doing this, how will that interact with my drone? How will it detect my drone? And how am I going to make sure that my drone doesn't get crashed into by one of these? Because if they're completely autonomous, obviously they have avoidance features, but that doesn't mean that my drone is communicating with that drone. And it's a smaller object. Those are much harder to avoid, especially compared to a plane. So it'll be interesting to see if they actually get approved and they start doing these test flights, how that will work in those areas. Maybe the FAA is going to have to change again and say that everybody has to go through and put their flight area in so these drones can avoid it. There's a lot to figure out here still, to be completely honest, and tell the public about. And the other really nice thing about this is they're actually, because they can stay up at that 300-400 feet, is they're pretty quiet. So instead of having these giant propelled things land in front of your house and make a ton of noise, it'll stay pretty quiet flying around and just lowering cargo to your house. And just, again, leads to more questions like, what if somebody grabs the cargo thing and yanks the drone? What if somebody tries to steal it? There's so much to figure out with this that just doesn't feel like anyone has answers to yet, and we'll just have to wait and see what those answers become when the time gets here. But at least we're seeing movement on it, I guess. I'm glad that we're moving towards this more sustainable way, but at the same time, how many things can you have flying around safely? There's just a lot to ask.